Wow. Here we are. In the 1800s, I guess. You know, let me turn this down. Earlier, when I wasn't on mushrooms, which doesn't count, I was talking about the Civil War with a guy. Here's what's funny about mushrooms. They just fucking, god damn it, they just strip everything away. It just is what it is. You're just a lost human, you know, in the random fucking placement that you're in. It just, all the things that you worry about, and you feel alignments, and you feel this struggle and this message and blah blah blah. God damn it if it doesn't goddamn matter. Holy shit. Look at us in our fucking town here. Look how we used to live. Things were going alright. We got some cows over there. We got some fucking people over here. We're gonna go hunt. Yeah, there's cows and people. I know it's very insightful. We have both. We have both here in this 1800s town, and we're chilling. And here's the point. Earlier, okay, before I was on mushrooms, I had all these fucking opinions. Can you imagine that? I had all these fucking opinions on stuff. Hey, here's what I think about that. Hey, like, what are you supposed to talk? This is the thing that's hard to do a talk show when you're on mushrooms. What the fuck are you supposed to talk? Oh, wow. Some pro sports players, like, they kneeled down. You're like, okay. Who gives a shit about any of this? Oh my god, you all need to do more fucking, I need to do more mushrooms. God damn it. I haven't tripped this hard in a long time. I'm just coming out of it now, but earlier, okay, let me try to get to the fucking point. Earlier, I was talking about the Civil War with this guy, and he was like, God, it's so ridiculous how the public school system makes people think that the Civil War wasn't just about slavery. And I was like, that's a strange perspective because, you know, I'm 33. I grew up in the Midwest in the United States. And from my perspective, our mainstream education made it seem like it was just about slavery. And all of the education contrary came afterwards, you know. Books and teachings and scribes. I read a lot of scribes about the Civil War in my time. God, isn't everything so silly? All right, so I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking, you know, this guy thinks, okay, wow, people actually try to think it is about something other than racism. I think, wow, it's crazy that people were taught anything other than the racism thing, whatever, wherever we all came from. Let's try to picture just being alive in this town, okay? Back then, obviously, fuck internet, fuck cell phones, fuck cars, fuck, newspaper was a fucking luxury. You know what I'm saying? You didn't have shit. You had what your neighbor told you. You didn't have the benefit of 150 years of dismantling of the whole situation and analysis, and everybody pick a thing to fucking obsess over, and this is what happened and that is what happened and this. What I always try to stress to people is, why do you think people were willing to pick up their fucking guns, leave their fucking family, leave everything they've ever had behind, leave their entire life fucking behind, and go and fight? Do you think that they were motivated to defend the rights of, like, the 1% of people that own slaves? Look into it. What was it, 4% at the most? I'm just telling you, this is the wealthiest of society. Wealthiest. You think the poor people who fight every goddamn war, every single goddamn war, it's easy to sit around today and look and go, oh, wow, all these idiots from Kentucky and Utah and fucking Flint, Michigan, and the flatlands and goddamn wherever, Nebraska, Oklahoma, wherever, all these fucking poor idiots go fight this war, obviously, because they're stupid. What do you think it was back then? It was poor fucking stupid people fighting for rich, manipulative people. That's the thing. So I'm trying to get people to understand, what was the average Southerner? Were they fighting for fucking for slaves? Were they really? Were they honestly? Think about it. You're here in this beautiful land, okay? Look, there's a church bell. Everything's going fine. People are walking around. There's look, you got Southern bells. Big hippie, and I don't mean fucking hippie as the ones that destroyed the country with the Beatles. I mean gals with with large hips and posteriors walking through the Southern bells. There they are. God, what more the fuck do you want? Jesus Christ. And you got food, and you got people, and you got gatherings, and blah blah blah. What makes you? I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you what it is. There's someone coming. You don't have media, you don't have any of that to rely on, you don't have blah blah blah. There's just someone coming, and they're off in the distance. They're far away. The North is coming. They're going to invade our land. Well, what do we do about this? You know? Of course we want to defend our land, right? Well, no. We don't want to do this, and we don't want to do that. Well, the sound gets a little bit closer, right? And then you go, okay, it's 2 towns over. What do we do? What do we do? We don't have time to read fucking 150 years of books and analysis. Someone's coming. Someone's coming. Here it is. Now it's 1 town over. My cousins died. My brothers died. What do we do? What do we do? And what? The fighting sounds get louder. The sounds of civilization fade out. And here we are now. We don't know why. It wasn't about some grand philosophical fucking purpose. Men don't go fight and die against each other for grand philosophical purposes. That's the tragic thing. You can't look at it like it was different than today. They were fucking duped, and they were sold on something. Look at how it happens. It came to your town. What did you do? Well, hey, I want you to read this book about why it's not quite right to defend your homeland. Because when this is all metered out in history, you're gonna look kinda stupid for not letting all of your family be killed. Think about it, goddammit. Eventually it just swept you up. Eventually it didn't matter how you thought, and you just joined the fucking fight because it came to your town. And this is the thing about most of us have the chronological privilege of judging things like this. Really give it some thought. Do you think guys that were out there fighting, slitting each other's throats, and dying for the rights to someone, for someone to own slaves? No. It was because they heard somebody coming. They were told it was a threat. And then they reacted to that threat. That's what I'm telling you guys. God damn it, I am fucking tripping balls. We're going to take our first break right there. Let's take them out with some... Yeah. I'm going to have a cigarette. OverdoseTalkShow.com. some birds and shit. So we're in the jungle now. Oh yeah, make it louder. Now we're really in the jungle. Look at that. Imagine that. Okay. Ah, rivers are too loud, dude. Can't throw rivers in there like that. Waterfalls, that's good. Yeah, I like a waterfall, but it's gotta be quiet. Look at that. We keep it quiet, but that's a big waterfall. Here's what it would be like if it was loud. There's some guy, some monkey guy, like, whoa. How great must it have been before society? Holy shit. You're just hanging out with a bunch of shit. Have you ever looked at birds? What the fuck are they doing? They're not doing shit. You're just looking at them like look at a pack of birds for like an hour and just tell me what the fuck they're up to. I would really love to know, because they're really just squawking around, just jumping around. And this is what I would like to think that it was like before we all got goddamn too connected and too much shit passing back and forth and too much goddamn information, is that it was just like, wow, look at those things. They just flap around and just act like idiots. Like, every bird is a fucking moron, if you really want to get down to it. Every single one that's ever walked or flown the face of the earth, they're all stupid. Just watch them. I'm telling you, watch them for an hour. I've done it. I've just sat there and just looked at what they're doing. They're just chattering around, and then they jump like, okay, I'll go like 16 feet over here, and then that's crazy. Look at that shit. I'll fucking yell over here, and then I'll jump back over where I first was, and then I'll just yell there. It's nothing. It's nothing. It's like any of this. It's like all of us, right? Everything's a metaphor, ain't it? Ain't it, when you get down to it? You try not to be cheesy. You try not to do, here's the pseudo-intellectual, metaphysical blah, take on this, blah, blah, but it all just happens naturally. God, have you ever seen a big group of birds? Just like a group of people, ain't it? Hey, everybody's going about their business. Hey, you don't know what they're doing. This guy's going over here. He's doing this. He's yelling about that. Who knows what he's up to? Probably selling drugs. Ah, I love selling drugs. And what I'm saying is we're in Peru now. Now we're Peruvian tribespeople. Okay? Do we understand that rubber is going to change the world? We're back in maybe the 1930s. Do we know that rubber is going to change the world? We don't know. We don't care. In fact, fast forward it to now. 2011. Wait a second. 2017. I'm on mushrooms. I'm sorry. I think it's fucking 8 years ago, apparently. Or 19 years ago, or 100. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Listen. I haven't tripped this long in a long time. Listen. I'm telling you. We're in the 1930s. Does it matter that the plane wheels, the wheels of the planes that will one day bomb our countrymen will one day be lined in the very fabric that grows from the soil that we patrol at this point as men in our tribes? No, we don't know. We don't understand. We don't have perspective. We're in the 30s. It's the rainforest. Remember what we talked about before with Alabama? Okay, we're talking about Alabama in the Civil War. You don't know shit. People don't know shit now. What do you think it's like in the fucking rainforest? In the goddamn, nobody knows anything. You know, people thought their fucking cousin had spells on him and shit. We're talking Amazon 30 shit. Wrap your head around it. Here's where we are. We're in Peru. In the 30s. Okay? Do you understand me? Rubber is fucking needed. okay? Rubber is needed. It doesn't matter if we understand. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's going to happen. The people are gonna come, and they're gonna cut down our trees. They're gonna ruin our societies, and they're going to take our rubber because it has to happen. It has to. It's part of human progression. It has to. There's no other way we could fucking be people. There's no other way I could talk to you online. There's no other way that we can have phone calls and frappuccinos and whatever the fuck we have and drum machines and shit. Oh, look at this. Cultural music. That's good. There's no other way we can have any of that without rubber. I once was in Maryland, I believe, I think, and I stopped at this cave. There was one of those signs that said, big goddamn cave. Stupid cave to waste $30 at. And I was like, oh, that sounds good. So I went over there, and I bought the cave tour, and it sucked ass. Like, all those fucking cave tours suck ass. And you just go like, hey, this is a stalactite that was also a stalagmite. I remember the one guy at one of the places was like, it looks like they touched, but they don't. And it was proven by a local geologist who passed a credit card between the stalagmite and the stalactite. And like many bad marriages, these two rock formations were split by a credit card. So you take that kind of tour, and I'm like, okay, so we're done with the tour. I go outside. I go, hey, look at this whole area. This guy, all right, his name's Jerry. He says, hi, Jerry. He's if I could describe him, he was like a guy you would meet in a zombie movie. After but not right away. It's after there's been zombies for 3 or 4 years, and there's one guy who's totally unfazed by it. He's like he just doesn't care at all. That's Jerry. Like this guy that I met, he was already living there. He was already post-apocalypse in his mind. The world had gone to complete shit. He told me, here's what he said. I asked him what he thought politically. He said, he ran this cave, okay? He told me openly. He's like, yeah, I scam people for cave money. And all I buy is guns and ammunition and seeds and whiskey. And that's it. And I was like, Jerry, will you marry me? Just stop it right now. Jesus Christ. I loved this fucking guy. What was it called? I wish I knew the name of the cave. I don't know. But he at one time while we're talking, he's like, I wish you would sit here. He offered to make us dinner. I think I can't remember if we had dinner with him or not. He's offered to make us dinner and gave us drinks and stuff. He's like, just hang out, because I remember he goes, here's how he talked. He's like, most of the people I talk to are, how'd you say it, sort of retarded. That's what he said. He's like, don't you know it? I've been running this place 35 years. I got school teachers that'll call me and ask when we're open. I'll say 7 days a week, 9 to 9. And they'll say, does that include Sunday? And then he would pause. And he looked at me and he said, something's wrong with the synapses. The way he turned it, he cocked his head. He said, something's wrong with the synapses. I'll never forget that. He was fucking right. He looked out front of where we were sitting, and he said, do you know what this is? Out front, I said, a road. He said, no, it's not just a road. It's the very first paved highway in all of the United States. And I said, that is truly fucking amazing, actually. And he goes, is it? Because apparently, when I go back into Jerry, he said apparently it was such a fucking genius idea that we decided to pave the whole goddamn world. We couldn't find any way else. Or what did he say? He was far more eloquent than me, guarantee you. He said something like, we couldn't find any other more poetic way around the contest of propulsion. Or so, I forget how he put it so fucking perfectly. We couldn't find any more poetic way to deal with the challenge of propulsion in modern society, or something like that. And I was like, Jesus Christ, Jerry. Jesus goddamn Christ. I sat there for about 6 hours, I would say, with Jerry. My girlfriend, by the way, she did not appreciate Jerry. She was like some old guy you're talking to about fucking fish and guns or something. Like, she did not care. But some of you out there know what I'm talking about. But anyways, we're in Peru in the fucking 1930s. Do we care about Jerry? No. Do we care about me? No. Do we care about New Orleans, Chicago? Where's some of our other listeners from? Off there in Germany. Do we care about you? No, we don't. We're 1930s Peruvians. All we fucking know is the trees and the animals and the things around us. And look at what we got. We got foot stomps and flutes. It's not even that good. Whatever. How would you like it if this was what you had to listen to all the time? To be honest. You know? Be terrible. Anyways, that's where we are. We're 1930s Peru. People decide there needs to be rubber. There has to be rubber in the world. We can't live without it. And guess what else we can't live without? We can't live without just slaughtering tons of native tribes just to fucking get some rubber. That's how this world works. But just for rubber? No. Remember who I talked about earlier? All those poor people that go fight in American wars. Flint, Michigan. The Panhandle in Florida. Oklahoma. Nebraska. All these places. Appalachia. Whatever. What have you. All the poor parts of this country. Guess what? They needed factories to work in. So we decided, as a people, as a culture, that some other people's cultures weren't quite as valuable as us having guys to work in factories to make the rest of our shitty lives a tiny bit more convenient, because rubber, I guess. I mean, after all, can you imagine a world where baby strollers have wheels lined with sheepskin? Because I can't, ladies and gentlemen. Call me old-fashioned, but I just can't envision it. Hey, look. It's progress, isn't it? Man, I'm on both sides of the fence. It's funny to be on psychedelics and talk to you guys at the same time, because, oh man, I'm always on all these different sides. Like, I guess I get everybody's perspective. Like, it's easy for me to go, hey man, rubber is stupid. But I would guess that somebody could make like an hour documentary about how many towns rubber saved. And how much rubber fucking did for so many millions of people. I understand, dude. I'm just saying. We're in 1930s Peru. Why do I have to keep telling you? We don't understand that. All we know is that, you know, there's some sort of distant threat. Do we understand it? Do we need to? No, we don't. We're just sitting here in our little town square with our little music, and it's just happening as it happens, and we're dealing with life as it is, and eventually, far off in the distance, shit starts to change, right? There's Europeans coming for the rubber trees. I guess we're too stupid to fucking make our own rubber, by the way. Maybe we should have learned to make rubber in the first fucking place. I don't know. And slowly, instead of all this beautiful stuff we once knew, here we go. The trees are being chopped. They're shooting at us. They're killing us. We don't know. And now, 100 years later, do you understand there's still tribes in Peru that are on... Peru is one of the places... This is the most interesting place to study uncontacted tribes and people that you would say are, you know, outside of the modern realm and things like that. You know, Peru actually has treaties, and it maybe not treaties, but they have clauses and whatever laws in their government, very strict how they deal with these tribes because they have been so historically massacred and slaughtered for profit. Absolutely. This is the sounds of rubber, ladies and gentlemen. Fucking powerful. Why do I not have a Pulitzer? So Peru now has laws. Now it's come all the way to the other point where people in small towns in Peru, in some places, some of these uncontacted tribes who are now very protected and things like that will come into small towns and raid for supplies and clothes and food and whatever because they've learned that there's laws in place that some of the small towns aren't even allowed to protect their homes from indigenous tribes. If an indigenous tribe invades, look this up, in Peru, you're supposed to evacuate and let them do what they will do and then leave. And this is a big split in the anthropological community that where a lot of people go, hey, you can't disturb undisturbed societies. I mean, to me, that's stupid. I like the other side. The other side says, what is human history and progression other than us disturbing each other's natural lifestyles and societies? Like, the fact that these guys are out there running around thinking planes are fucking demons and blah, blah, blah. Everything that's going on is all, you know, we could easily wake them up out of this draconian nightmare and bring them into the modern world. Would that be such a terrible thing? I don't know, man. I honestly, if I just was, you know, in the lottery of when you're born and where you're born, if I just happen to be born in the middle of nowhere, Peru, to some stupid tribe who fucking still thought that that the sun, I don't know, the sun jerks off and shoots cum all the way over to the moon, and the cum is so thick that it pulls it like it's stuck to, like the Stretch Armstrong. Remember those? And it stretches out and like pulls the moon along with it. I don't know what they think. Listen, if I was from one of those tribes and I was and somebody's like, hey, you want to have an iPad and live in a city? I'm like, yeah, I think so, actually. What is to be gained from keeping these other people out of the loop? We're basically just keeping secrets at this point. We're like, you know, look at them. Look at these monkey fuckers. They're just sitting here in the jungle, all stupid as fuck. If we told them about PlayStation, their fucking heads would explode. We don't know what to do with them. We should probably just observe them. And we need to, by the way, here's what's crucial to humanity. We need to learn a lot more than we already know about how things were done 10,000 years ago. We don't know enough about... We can't move forward. We just have no idea what to do if we didn't fucking know more about retarded fucking ape people. So we got to keep them in the loop, or out of the loop, in these jungle places. To, you know what I'm saying? Just give them some bottled water. Fucking show them Grand Theft Auto. Give them some... Oh, man. Because I bet they got weed, but how about some really good weed? How about some really good weed? How about that? Anyways, I can't believe I have to keep reminding you that we're in Peru in the 1930s. And our culture was devastated, and our people were devastated. All for what? So that me and you could sit here on the internet and discuss things such as the Civil War, such as the devastation of us, such as Jerry. Love Jerry. Good guy over by that cave. I bought mushrooms earlier. I didn't even buy them, actually. That's right, I forgot. I was buying some tacos, and the guy that I fucking bought tacos from goes, hey, have this like shot glass full of like chocolate syrup and mushrooms. I was like, all right, this probably won't do anything. Here we are. We'll take a break. We'll be back. I'll do another break for you guys on the Overdose Talk Show. Just pacing around. This is what you do. Walk around on old wooden floors. That's what a lot of us do, right? I feel bad for you if your whole life was in new houses and you never walked around in an old fucking creepy house. You just felt that kind of like you just feel the weight of yourself, you know, and the floor sinking, and you just feel the heaviness of everything that's come and gone before you. If you never just walked around in a place like that, I really do feel bad for you. Go to old places, man. Go to shitty places. You know what I've done with my adult life is pretty much just like figure out the worst thing you could possibly do and then do it, and then hope someone gives a shit that you have that story of being at a terrible place. Is that a good idea? I don't know. I don't know. That's pretty much what I've done. And here I am, walking around in an old attic. But I think I've had about enough of that, and I'm ready to head back downstairs, outside, and check out some of the city. Because I live in a nice American city, right? Don't I? It's named New Orleans. And there's a thing about living, hey, we can all get mad and we can all think a lot of things are terrible and we can all stand on what we stand on, but at the end of the fucking day, how great is it to be alive and awake in an American city in 2017? It really is cool. This is the thing we all need to wake up to, is, it's easy to go, hey, look at how the young kids are so stupid and they have 300 genders, and then look at it, the old guys are so stupid they need so many guns, and blah blah blah. It's easy to get caught up in that kind of like back and forth thing of politics and whatever else could divide you, but sometimes you just gotta step back and you gotta think, hey, as many problems as there are, it is fucking badass to be a free American in 2017 in an American city. It is cool, man. It really is. I've met people from all over the world. I've done things that a lot of people could only imagine. I've just from being around and just from fucking just being adventurous. You get into situations, you do things. You want some coke? We're gonna go over here, we're gonna get some coke. I was in a crack house not too long ago, and this is just the thing, okay, right? This is part of being alive. This is part of how cool it is to observe the ups and downs and the inner workings and the ins and outs of a fucking city environment. And I was at this bar, and I'm chilling outside, smoking a bowl with this guy, and we're joking around about who knows what. And he goes, yo, you do coke? And I was like, yeah. He's like, all right, come with me. So I go, okay. So we walk across the street into this house that, if you're from the north, okay, let's say you like live in the suburbs or something in the north, and you're not familiar with maybe the way that like real poor people live. I mean, this was like a place that like it's got mold up the side of the walls. The door is like 3 inches from touching the ground. You know, it doesn't even close right or whatever. It's like the whole place. It kind of looks like if you shook an Etch-a-Sketch, but only halfway, but you didn't totally destroy the drawing. It's like you're going into a house that looks like a fucking halfway destroyed Etch-a-Sketch drawing. That's kind of what it is. And so this guy goes, come with me. I go, oh, okay, I guess we're going to go do some coke. So we go, he walks in, and I'm about 10 feet behind him because I'm smoking a cigarette. And I go, I don't know if I can bring my cigarette in here. And he walks in, and I walk in like 5 seconds behind him, and he had already progressed through the living room, back in through the hallway, into the kitchen. He's now found his friends, and he's doing whatever. And I walk in behind him, and like 14 people go, who the fuck are you? What the fuck are you doing in here? And I was like, yo, I was like, this dude I was just chilling with for like a half an hour said, hey, come hang out over here. So I was following him. I stood outside. You're trying to explain it. You're like, I stood outside. They're like, are you a cop? Are you a cop? You're like, no, I'm not a cop. I just was outside for a second because this guy said, come here. What's his name? They're asking me, what's the name of the guy that fucking invited you here? I'm like, I don't know the guy's goddamn name, dude. What do you think? We're fucking old friends or something? I don't know. We're drinking and smoking weed. He says, come over here and do some coke. I don't know. I said, I'll leave. They said, no. It's all right. It eventually calmed down because I knew one of the girls that was sitting there. I said, hey, I met you a couple times. She said, oh, yeah, this guy's all right. So I go in there, and they blew a whole bunch of fucking lines off the bat, not even knowing me. They're like, have a line. We're fucking doing all kinds of coke. This place was honestly a little bit better. Did you ever see Breaking Bad, where Jesse's house was like there's like people on the floor? This was happening. There's people on the floor braiding each other's hair. There's one guy in the corner just spouting conspiracy theories to no one. There's like a few guys like obsessively looking at one baseball card for 2.5 hours. There's all this like classic tweaker shit going on, and I'm like trying to take it all in, just observing it, like this is the best thing I've ever seen. And then I realized I'm exactly one of these people. I just came to a house without knowing anyone at 4:30 in the morning and did a whole bunch of drugs, and then sat here going, ha ha ha, look at these idiots doing the exact same thing as me. It's so weird how I had this like, and believe me, some of these people were crackheads, okay? This was a fucking cockroaches running around, just depraved environment, and nothing mattered. Nothing mattered. I'm telling you, nothing. It was fun as shit, but it was weird how I just instinctively knew that I'm better than this. Like, you're all something. I met you all here. You're all doing the exact same thing that I'm doing. However, you're a bunch of crackheads. Like, it's just weird, man. And I never did that again in that house, particularly at that time. So I'll just say that. Now I'm better. I did go to that house once more. It's a weird house. It's a house where you wait 3 hours for fucking coke, and then the coke guy finally comes and he comes in and looks around and goes, I don't know every single person in this place personally, so I will not sell you a bag of coke, and then leaves. I'm not shitting you, dude. These people all got mad at me because I was fucking... They invited me to chill. I'm sitting there in this crack house, just taking all this fucking shit in that I told you about, and we're waiting like 3 hours for some guy to bring some more fucking coke, which, by the way, I was more than happy to pay for and wait for. And I'm no better than any of these fucking people, although I truly believe that I'm much better than all of these people. And this guy comes in and looks around. I know it was me. He looks and goes like, oh, I don't know, man. I don't have anything. And they're like, what the fuck? We've been waiting like 3 hours. And then they look at me. After he leaves, they're like, he didn't sell it because you're here. Like, well, you know what, dude? If that's the lifestyle you guys are fucking living, you're sitting here waiting 3 hours. I've been chilling. I live fucking 4 blocks away. You've all seen me 800 times, but you don't remember me because you're crackheads. That was also going on. I'd met a lot of these fucking assholes before. And, man, it just was amazing how much better than them I was. You know what I'm talking about? So I left. Walked around. Boy, did I write some stuff in my notebook that really set me apart from them. I'm not a normal drug addict, right? You guys ever been on that thing in Dubuque, Iowa? There's, in the downtown area of Dubuque, Iowa, there is a streetcar structure. It's kind of like a streetcar, but it's an elevator that goes up the side of a cliff to a giant old mansion that's like 200 years old. And it goes from the bottom of, I mean, what downtown Dubuque these days is like, you know, a chocolate shop and a fucking Denny's or something. It's nothing. But what's cool about Dubuque, Iowa, and I would recommend that if you're in the area, you just go check it out for an afternoon, is you can tell most definitely how it was meant to be a boom town. It was definitely kicking ass at some point, and then it just stopped. So there's this fucking banker in the 1800s that lives up on top of this cliff that goes, you know what, this road that goes all the way down the cliff and then back out and over, and you know how you go down a mountain, how it's always a big goddamn thing, and you gotta go way out of your way, and it goes on an incline around this, you know, the land mass, as it were. And this guy goes, I'm sick of taking this fucking road. Twice a day, he owned a bank or something like that, and he was a prominent banker in town. And he goes, you know, I would like to go home and take a nap and have a lunch and do this and that. I'm making a lot of money, no reason I can't. And it takes me all fucking day to go take a lunch break because my horses have to ride around this fucking cliff and blah, blah, blah. So he builds a direct elevator that's still there to this day in Dubuque, Iowa. You can go there. It's like $2. You can go up this fucking thing. So he built it just for himself back in the 1800s so that he, and probably his prostitutes, I just assume, could ride up and down this cliff just to have lunch. So his wife could make him a ham sandwich. This is the wealth disparity you're talking about back then. And this is why Dubuque, Iowa is so fun to look at, because you see all up on the cliff. Like, Dubuque, Iowa is very clearly 2 different levels. You know, not in any sort of metaphorical kind of way. It's literally 2 different geographical levels. There's the people up on the top of the cliff and the people on the bottom of the cliff. And that always stuck with me, that there was a guy rich enough. This whole town probably works for guys like this, but there was a guy rich enough to just build an elevator up to his house. Like, yeah, this is taking too long with my horses and stuff. I need this elevator. And you can still, to this day, ride it up for $2, and it's cool as shit. And I will admit, like a lot of things that you do on the road, it's kind of cool that that this fucking arrogant son of a bitch actually did this. It's pretty fun. You know what else is a weird thing? about riding around the country. I was talking about this. Speaking of, to tie the whole thing back around to slavery, as we all like to do. I mean, who doesn't like to end a fucking mushroom trip by talking about slavery? It's funny how when you're riding around the South and there's all these like tourist traps and places that you could go, a large percentage of them are plantations. It's this plantation, it's that plantation. Come see how this fucking come see this old house of slaves and pay us money to look at where we used to have slaves. And that's a huge thing in the South. But what's weird to me is these places, so it's not supposed to be that you like that now. It's not supposed to be that that's accepted now. But it's weird to me that all these places also existed in the North in the United States, and you don't see not goddamn one fucking tourist attraction in the North that here's a slave place, here's where we had slaves, look at our slave place. Come look at the decadence. The way people they go on like plantation tours in Louisiana and stuff, and they go on, look at the antebellum architecture and decadence and grace that was here, and the women used to say this and the blah blah blah. Yeah, meanwhile there was like Africans suffocating in hog slop in the fucking barn out. No, we're not supposed to. No, none of that. No. Okay, it's just, oh my God, isn't it crazy they didn't have fans? Can you imagine? Can you imagine living in this old house with no, and imagine, they always tell you stuff on tours like that. Imagine living here before the refrigerator, and you're supposed to go like, oh wow. Like, yeah, imagine living before the refrigerator, but also before the Emancipation Proclamation. Had to be pretty fucking good. You got 16 motherfuckers doing whatever the fuck you want. So you're supposed to just, like, tour the South of, like, look at all the slaves. But I just think, I don't know. I think it's funny that it's not, and I think there's something to this, by the way. I'm suspicious, by the way, of how the North has always been exonerated. Hey, we're not the land of slavery. We didn't have slavery. Yes, you did. Yes, yeah, it was all over. Look, I mean, you're telling me there was no plantations in Southern Illinois? No, it just didn't. It didn't become this cultural asset for whatever reason. And why is it one? I don't know. But I'm telling you, drive around the United States. Drive the North, drive the South. South, full of plantations that you can see to this day. North, no plantations. None. But they were there. I'm guaranteeing you they were fucking there. So anyways, this was the Overdose Talk Show on a bit of psychedelic mushrooms. What do they call it? Psilocybin. I think I was on psilocybin tonight. It was fun. I hope I talked about some good stuff. Get it all up there. Next show, I actually think is going to be fucking hilarious. Just so you know. Good night, everybody.